you know, this industry has changed so much from where it was 10 years ago because there's so many. You know, I don't hate on the casual gamer, but the casual gamer has dominated this industry now. With Wii out there and the DS and everything like that, it's kind of evolved to the point where it's not cool to play video games anymore. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, it was Super Nintendo and Genesis. It was like considered like a hobby, like making model airplanes. It was like, oh, well, I play video games. You know, it's evolved so much more now, and you know, we're at November 19th, and last weekend Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out, and it made $375 million in a day. And it's the same shit every year with a different guy on the cover, or it's the same game for $60 every time. You know, I like it if you're going to do if you're going to do an every year game. I love the double team process. So like you look at games like Splinter Cell, and Splinter Cell is done by two different groups. It's done by Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Shanghai, and basically they alternate in their development cycles. So it's a 2-year development cycle, but it comes out every year because each one overlaps the other. Call of Duty does that as well. Mortal Kombat was doing that for a long time, and a lot of these games are really starting to see that if you're going to make something that's quality, but you still want to put it out every year, you do double development. And with a lot of stuff, you look at Infinity Ward is the main guys that do Call of Duty, and they made Call of Duty 1 for the PC, and they did Call of Duty 2 now. And then what happened is that they get this great engine, and they hand it off to Treyarch, who isn't a bad developer, but Infinity Ward's really top-notch, AAA kind of a guy. So when a company like Treyarch really gets an opportunity to work on a AAA engine, it helps them grow as well, but it also allows the developer to put out a game every year and still have it up to the expectations of the fan base, which is important. But you look at games like Madden and Tiger Woods and all the EA sports stuff that really, from a developer perspective, it's going to take them 2 to 3 months to get it tested and approved by Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. Okay, so there, boom, that's 3 months out of the year. Okay, you figure they're going to take 1.5 years to 2 months off after the game comes out and they're done. So boom, there's 5 months going. So now you're already looking at a 7-month process, which is really probably only 6, maybe 5.5 because of testing and development and all that. So you're looking at 5.5 months to make a full game and put it out every year. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad way to go, but at the same time, that kind of content shouldn't be full price. If those games came out at $40 every year for 360 and PS3, they would sell more than they would at $60. And people would still buy it if it was 40. I think that it angers me with that kind of stuff. And then when you see the competition, because I'm a huge fan of competing titles working back and forth, because they're like, well, I did this, well, I did this. Well, I did this, I did this. It makes both games better. Like Metal Gear and Splinter Cell are prime examples of that. You know, and then you look at like the Tekkens, the Mortal Kombats, and the Street Fighters. They all go back and forth, and all those games just keep getting better and better and better. They go, oh, cool, I never thought of that. So I'm going to integrate what they did plus do more of what I got to do. And Soul Calibur was a big part of that too. You know, Soul Calibur was like, oh, you can make your own fighter. And everyone was like, boom, make your own fighter, make your own fighter, make your own fighter. Like, that's all part of it. But then you look at the Madden stuff, and ESPN 2K5, which is probably one of the best football games ever made, was out for $20 on the Xbox and the PS2, but Madden was still $50. Madden had to drop their price of Madden 2005 to $30 just to compete because it was selling so much. So people were getting 2 football games for $50. And you know what? I bet you the record sales were through the roof just because of the price points. Because from a development standpoint and a cost of management, it's not going to cost them that much because it'll make up the revenue cost at the end. John Madden Football got scared because of the sales of NFL 2K5. So they swooped in and they bought the rights to the NFL for 5 years. Because competition, if there is no competition, you win by default. So 2K, who are the guys who make NFL 2K5, went and did the same thing. They went and they bought the baseball. So they owned MLB for 5 years. But 2K was a little bit better about it. They put a clause in the contract that said anybody who's a first-party developer can make a game. Basically, it was just like everybody but EA can make a baseball game. So, like, if Nintendo wanted to come out with a baseball game, they could. If Microsoft wanted to come out with a baseball game, they could. Sony does every year, MLB The Show, which is I feel is better than the 2K stuff. They're allowed to, which is good. They were just like, everybody but EA can make these games. Which is good, because they did the same thing to them, because they knew that 2K5 was a better game. And the funny thing is that the guys who make 2K5, the developer is a company called Visual Concepts. All right? And a little known fact is that Visual Concepts actually made Madden back on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis for the first 5 or 6 years of its existence. So you would think they would be a little bit more together about it, but I think at the same time, maybe not, because they probably had a falling out. So, you know, it's things like that that kind of help the industry grow, and when people limit it to an extent, it makes it worse.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.